Good morning, not afternoon, good morning. Welcome, everyone. We're going to go ahead and call this meeting to order as we got several things to get through, and I know folks may need to get back to their buildings. So good morning, welcome. It is Tuesday, December 10th, 2024, 9:02 a.m. We'll go ahead and call our regular board meeting to order. Thank you, board members, for joining us this morning. Dr. Stubblefield, and to all of our staff, to all of our guests that are present, welcome. Thank you for joining us today. As we do at every board meeting, we'll read our board norms. We agree to respect differences of opinions in making decisions for the district, to follow best practices in managing the superintendent and the management of the board itself, to stay on task when conducting business for the district, including while at board meetings, to never surprise the superintendent or each other when conducting official business of the district, to read these norms at the beginning of each board meeting and at board workshops as a reminder of how to conduct our meetings, continually self-check to determine if we're following our norms when conducting district business. Again, welcome. It's great to see you all in this beautiful December Tuesday. Glad to have you all here. So with that, Ms. Smith, would you please do a roll call?
Yolanda Clark. Maxine Drew.
Maxine Drew, present.
Randy Lopez.
Randy Lopez, present.
Robert Milan Jr.
Robert Milan Jr., present.
Wanda Brownlee Page.
Wanda Brownlee Page, present.
Rachel Russell. Dr. Nguyen. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve today's regular agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Questions, discussion? Hearing none. Ms. Smith.
Yolanda Clark. Maxine Drew.
Maxine Drew, yes.
Randy Lopez.
Randy, yes.
Robert Milan Jr.
Milan Jr., yes.
Wanda Brownlee Page.
Wanda Brownlee Page, yes.
Rachel Russell. Dr. Nguyen. Thank you.
Thank you. So we're going to start off again, and I always say this, but it's true, one of my favorite parts of our board meetings when we get to celebrate staff and students. So I would invite our team to come up as we have special awards this morning and as we recognize staff and students. Good morning, Dr. Jones.
Good morning, President Lopez. Good morning, Superintendent Stubblefield and the Board of Education. We're so happy to see you all. And yes, it is an exciting time to be able to celebrate our staff members who contribute greatly to our district and are helping to change the lives of our staff and our students. Our first Employee of the Month that we will recognize is our certified staff member, and that is Ms. Cicely Wright. Ms. Cicely Wright is a special education teacher in our sales program at Washington High School, and a submission was sent with the following statement. Mrs. Wright is the special education teacher for our sales 2 nonverbal students. She is so patient with her students, and you can just see how she cares for them. When you see her coming or going with students, you think of, they said, the mother hen. They really seem to be happy and content. She encourages them to do things on their own. I feel like she is an asset to Washington in the way that she cares for her students. She has parents to help her, but she's the only teacher with them, and I believe it takes a special person to handle all of the students with the different exceptionalities. She never complains, and I know it has to be difficult at times. She is a gem and a blessing to our students and to Washington High School. That was submitted by Gail Collins, our Employee of the Month for our certified staff, Mrs. Cicely Wright. Our Employee of the Month for our classified is Ms. Rashonda Brownlee.
All right. All right.
I'm not sure if Ms. Brownlee's here or not. Okay, she is here. She will come forward. Ms. Brownlee is a custodian at West Park Elementary School. Rashonda can be seen every morning greeting students as they come into the building. She takes the time to get to know students and strives to support them in their extracurricular activities, like going to football games on the weekends or track meets. Ms. Brownlee has a special place in her heart for some of our students that need a little bit of extra support at school. She will work with teachers to provide additional incentives for those specific students. Rashonda celebrates student academic success as well. She makes every student know that they have a cheerleader in their corner. No matter what she may be going through, Ms. Rashonda always has a smile on her face. West Park is lucky to have Ms. Rashonda in the building. That was submitted by Ms. Kristen Shuck. I present to you Ms. Rashonda Brownlee, the Employee of the Month for our classified staff. Next, I will present Ms. Adriana Pence, who will speak to us about a new program that was started this semester and this year with our Toyota Employee of the Quarter. So I present to you Ms. Adriana Pence.
Good morning. Good morning, Board President. Good morning, Dr. Stubblefield. Good morning, everyone. I'm super excited to present this award to you today. I'm Adriana Pence. I serve in HR as the Relations Coordinator. I work to recruit and, most importantly, retain our amazing staff. Part of that retention is celebrating our staff. I have partnered with Toyota. The manager of Toyota, Jordan Bricklesmeyer, is amazing. He has a spouse in the district, mother-in-law in the district, and sister-in-law in the district. And he got together with us to create a Teacher of the Quarter program. So we have worked together. I'm thrilled to present our winner. Well-deserved reward. They get a car for the weekend, dinner, and a stay at a beautiful hotel on the plaza. This is a small token of appreciation for the big impact that these teachers make.
All right, so the recipient of this award is Ms. Alvarez from Mark Twain. Ms. Alvarez is passionate, committed, and hardworking. Her principal says she fully implements all aspects of our instructional program. She actively seeks multiple ways to teach students, utilizing a variety of strategies and hands-on activity. She is student-centered and set high expectations for each of her students, both behaviorally and academically. Jennifer balances the task of building up each student's belief in themselves with the demands and urgency of the academic content she expects each of them to attain. Ms. Alvarez is a great example of KCK's professional development cycle and is regularly observed integrating professional development learning into her classroom and taking her learning to the next level. In addition, she has served as a mentor teacher to both new teachers and pre-service teachers through our collaboration with ESU. Not only does Jennifer impact students through her quiet leadership, she inspires both students and colleagues to strive to be better than we are. I honestly can't say enough about how valuable Ms. Alvarez is to students, staff, and families of Mark Twain. Congratulations. Our next award is our Heroism Award. And so Ms. Bates could not be here to talk about the medical side of it, so I have her notes. And she says the key benefits of teachers being trained in knowing how to safely perform the Heimlich maneuver is it provides immediate intervention, it increased safety for students, empowerment and confidence, a positive impact on school community, and potential to save lives. And so we are here. Sometimes I think about like the Nobel Peace Prize or, a Time Person of the Year, but I feel like we have our own today. And so if Coach Wassman would come up. Today, we are here to honor the incredible bravery and quick thinking of our very own Sumner Academy teacher, Coach Wassman. On Wednesday, November 13th, during lunchtime, Mr. Wassman showed us what true heroism looks like. While supervising lunch, an 11th grader, Jace Morgan, was choking on an apple. Mr. Wassman, who had been alerted by a fellow student, sprang into action. He had the student go alert the nurse while he quickly assessed the situation. With all his skill and expertise, he performed the Heimlich maneuver and got the food out of the student's mouth just as the nurse arrived. Mr. Wassman's quick thinking and bravery saved Jace's life, and we're all so grateful for his dedication and presence of mind. He's a true inspiration to all of us, and we're so lucky to have him as our teacher. Congratulations. Thank you so much.
Good evening, Board Board President and Vice President of the Board. Or good morning. Buenos dias. It's such a habit. All right, and as some of you are sipping on your coffee, I'm excited to present to you our Students of the Month, and we're starting with our youngest for Kynan here, who is a Earl Watson Jr. Early Childhood Preschool student.
So I know what I'm doing.
There you go. Okay, let me tell you a bit about Kynan. He is being nominated for his positive behavior. He has adapted so well as a first-year student, getting used to school environments. He's a model student, constantly making good choices, and as you can see, definitely a role model. And even when faced with peer pressure, he makes the right choices. His kindness and welcoming towards all classmates create a positive place for everyone to learn. His mom and his brother are here to celebrate with him. Let's give him a big round of applause. Okay, our elementary student of the month from West Park is Julian Franco. Julian is an exceptional leader, and he is being recognized for his service and citizenship. He has a strong sense of responsibility. He takes initiative in organizing not only his area, but his classmates and helping out in the classroom. He is willing to assist and offers help. He takes pride in making sure the classroom looks great. He also is helping other students. So although he wants to be a soldier when he grows up, he could also be a multilingual teacher because he helps students of multiple languages in the classroom and pairs up with them. And he is just an example to all his classmates, constantly going above and beyond in the kindergarten classroom. And will you give me a big round of applause for one of our future soldiers, Julian Franco. All right, for our middle school of the month, we have Evelyn Quintana, and she is at Gloria Willis. She is being recognized for her outstanding academics. She has a commendable 3.74 GPA and been recognized on honor roll. But not only is she smart, she has a good heart. She's very compassionate towards others. She is responsible. She is always in attendance. She shows kindness and compassion to others. She helps others during their lessons, ensuring they stay on task. When she grows up, she wants to be a pediatrician, and her favorite food is steak, so we're glad she lives in KC. And our high school is Leo Alvarez, and she is a Wyandotte High School student. And she was nominated by her teacher and her principal, and she may look very familiar to you because she is one busy student. She is all over town at UMKC Orchestra. She has done a lot with the Kansas City Symphony Concert, and she got into orchestra by 6th grade. She was filling out the form, and she just circled cello. That was the one, and she's still playing her cello and will in college as well. Where she wants to be a lawyer, and she wants to be a prosecuting lawyer, and this is inspired by her watching true crime documentaries because she wants to see justice. Yes. So with her being bilingual, almost done, you get a couple claps because so much you do, and well-rounded, we know her future is bright, and I'm sure we're going to hear more about her as one of our alumni. So, good job. And that concludes our Student of the Month.
Thank you, Dr. Lucero and team. Congratulations to all of our scholars, to our staff. Santa really is in the house giving away cars today. So thank you, Santa. And thank you, Toyota, for that as well. We are going to take a brief recess to take pictures with our scholars of the month and our staff of the month. We'll do them with the board, with family, and then with members of their team at their school. But before we do, the next thing on the agenda board is our executive session. So we'll go ahead and motion, if I can get a motion, to recess to executive session for preliminary discussion on the acquisition of real property under COMA to include Dr. Stubblefield, Mr. Goheen, Mr. Lilly, Mr. Clement, Dr. Campbell, Dr. Jones, and Matt Watkins to be included in the executive session for 15 minutes going in at 9:30. Going in at 9:30, that gives us time for pictures and I hope so. For 15 minutes. Is there a motion? Moved
Second.
and seconded. Questions?
You sure
Right.
you don't need to extend that time? I know you're gonna rush through it, but that might not be enough time.
It's on the updated.
We'll say 9 to go in at 9:35. Is that enough? Does that make folks feel more comfortable? Okay. Would you amend your motion, Ms. Drew and Mr. Mylan?
Yes.
Okay. Go in at 9:35 for 15 minutes.
Right.
Ms. Smith?
Yolanda Clark. Maxine Drew.
Maxine Drew, yes.
Randy Lopez.
Randy, yes.
Robert Mylan Jr.
Robert Milan Jr., yes.
Wanda Brownlee Page.
Wanda Brownlee Page, yes.
Rachel Russell.
Rachel Russell, yes.
Dr. Nguyen. Thank you.
Thank you.
I thought you were saying you wanted to.
right, motion to return to open session, please.
So moved. Second.
Moved and seconded. Questions? Ms. Smith?
Yolanda Clark, Maxine Drew,
Yes.
Randy Lopez.
Randy, yes.
Robert Marlin Jr.,
Marlon Jr., yes.
Wanda Brownlee Page,
Wanda Brownlee Page, yes.
Rachel Russell,
Rachel Russell, yes.
Dr. Nguyen. Thank you.
Dr. Nguyen, yes.
Oh, thank you, Dr. Nguyen.
You're welcome.
Morning. All right. Next on our agenda, board item 4, community comment. There's no one signed up today, but you have our policy there for our community members to be able to sign up if they so choose to. Next agenda item, item 5, our consent agenda. Is there a motion to approve today's consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any questions or discussion? Hearing none. Ms. Smith?
Yolanda Clark, Maxine Drew,
Yes.
Randy Lopez,
Randy, yes.
Robert Marlin Jr.,
Robert Marlin Jr., yes.
Wanda Brownlee Page,
Wanda Brownlee Page, yes.
Rachel Russell,
Rachel Russell, yes.
Dr. Nguyen.
Dr. Nguyen, yes.
Thank you.
Motion carries. Thank you. Board item 6A is next on our agenda. These items have come before us at least once and are up for potential action if it is the will of the board. First item on the agenda, it's recommended the Kansas City, Kansas Board of Education approve the general obligation bond sale resolution. This recommendation is submitted by Mr. Lilly and recommended by Dr. Anna Stubblefield.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Are there any questions or further discussion on this item? Seeing and hearing none. Ms. Smith?
Yolanda Clark, Maxine Drew,
Yes.
Randy Lopez,
Randy, yes.
Robert Marlin Jr.,
Marlon Jr., yes.
Wanda Brownlee Page,
Wanda Brownlee Page, yes.
Rachel Russell,
Rachel Russell, yes.
Dr. Nguyen.
Dr. Nguyen, yes.
Thank you.
Carries, thank you. Next agenda item, board, it's recommended the Kansas City, Kansas Board of Education approve the request to buy out the remaining lease from the enterprise fleet in the amount of $55,542.85 for 5 vehicles utilized by the Nutritional Services Department, 2 vehicles utilized by libraries, and 1 vehicle utilized by the Communications Department, as submitted by Ms. Favreau, Ms. Levers, Mr. Carell, Mr. Lilly, and recommended by Dr. Stubblefield.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any questions or discussion on this item, board?
Mr. Lopez, can you hear me?
Yes, Dr. Nguyen.
Consistent with what I've already said, I believe that this is an opportunity to start reducing costs. And my comparison is always Wichita, who has 50,000 students, only has about 40 vehicles, 40 to 50 vehicles in its fleet. This is, I think, is an opportune time to not renew or buy out the lease and not spend this money. So I'll be voting no.
Dr. Nguyen, I just want to share with you and respect your vote. We did reach out to Wichita and got an update. They actually have over 200 cars currently in their fleet. We did provide that in the end of the week. And that's not to negate like your rationale, but I did just want to clarify that's the information that Wichita shared with us, and that's not including buses or vans for their student transportation. Is the information that they shared with us.
I got my information from a board member, so it's not to negate your statement either, but also not to negate my source that verified my correct number. This was not this year, so I appreciate your correction and update, and I still stand by the fact that there are some times that this board doesn't appear to want to find ways to cut costs, and so I believe this is a place to start. So thank you very much.
And I'll offer one more point of clarification. We currently are in active contract leases for these vehicles. So if the board were not to vote for us to purchase them, we still would be paying for these vehicles through the life of this particular contract, which I believe is about 2 more years. Yeah, so just to clarify that, this is not, so either way, the vehicles would still be in our possession. When we look at it mathematically, it's cheaper for us to just buy them outright than to continue with the lease. And these leases were obtained prior to some of you being on the board and myself and some others being here. So I just wanted to put that context in it. The vehicles won't go away. We'll still have them because of the duration of the lease contract.
How much is the duration of the lease contract? How many years?
Mr. Correll is coming forward, but when we did the math, it's more expensive to just pay the contract than it is to pay what the current, what is on there.
Purchase price of a vehicle?
Yeah, Mr. Correll is here, he will share.
Yeah, because many of us have leased vehicles, and the lease price is not the cost of the vehicle.
Right. The lease price that we pay monthly for all of the vehicles is $3,105 a month. And so you want to know the cost per vehicle?
No, that's in there.
It's the life.
The life of the, like, how many more months do we have in the lease?
It
Many more
varies. There are some that we are on a month-to-month basis because the lease has expired, I think 2 of them, and the others are like about 6 months left on the lease.
Therefore, you're telling me if you do the math for a vehicle that has 2 months left on a lease, that is less than, am I correct to hear, you said 500,000?
No, so
500,000.
what I was sharing with you is that when we calculate, because these vehicles are being used, and the departments that are using them, it is, instead of us paying month to month for us to continue to lease the vehicles, it would be more expensive than us to buy it outright.
Right.
And I understood that, and I'm saying, if there's a vehicle that has 2 months left on the lease, and you said collectively the total is 3,000, that was not 3,000 per vehicle.
That's our
Is that correct?
monthly payment. We have to pay, to buy the vehicles out, we have to pay the book value of the vehicles. And so.
Correct. I'm familiar with lease arrangements. I'm saying, when then, at the end of your lease, you turn the vehicle back, what is that cost?
I'll have to check that out for you and get you that number.
Well, I think there's a motion on the floor, so checking that out to get me the number, thank you, and I appreciate it when I get it. But the point that is not being, and this is where I think, Dr. Stubblefield, you and I are talking past each other. Buying out a lease, turning a vehicle back at the end of the lease, I don't understand your computation of 500, that it's still cheaper than 500,000. It's more expensive than 500,000. That is some strange math.
It's 55,000.
Yeah.
55,000?
55.
Yes, it's not 500,000.
Right.
Okay, then I misheard, but 55,000 still, you're not going to, when you turn in a vehicle that the lease has expired,
Yeah, so
that number's not gonna be.
correct.
more than
And I misspoke about my understanding of what was left in the terms of the lease, and Mr. Correll came up and clarified it. So I don't have any additional information. I did misspeak. I was under the impression that the leases were a little longer and that we weren't, I mean, it varies by vehicles, but that is the information. I just wanted to clarify the number of vehicles in comparison and the use of the vehicles for the departments. So,
Okay, thank you for that clarification, because it was not correct. And again, there's a motion on the floor, so unless the majority of this group is willing to withdraw the motion to get more information, I don't know, but I still would be voting no, because I do not believe there has been not for any deliberate, but misinformation, but that if there's an opportunity for us to start downsizing, especially when a vehicle is at the end of its lease, this is an opportunity. So thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Nguyen. Additional questions?
Do we know the
Ms. Russell?
mileage on these vehicles?
I don't have that information with me
Okay.
right now.
Ms.
It's
Russell?
actually less than 50,000 right now because we've made
Per
a couple
car?
of payments. I'm sorry,
I said the mileage.
the mileage? I could get that. I don't have it with me.
Okay.
Ms. Russell?
Yeah, I just wanted to clarify. So when because you made a statement that confused me just a little bit. So when we purchase these vehicles, we now own them.
We will
Is
own
what,
them,
okay.
Yeah, when we purchase.
But you made a statement about vehicles that are on a month-to-month lease.
Right, the lease continues as the book value. We're still using the vehicles. We don't own them. We have to pay the real book value to own them. And right now, there's still a real book value that we will owe.
Maybe
own the
I don't
vehicles.
understand leasing because I thought you lease to own.
Well, no.
No, it
We're-
depends on
we're-
the lease
We
agreement
are
that you're in.
leasing the vehicles
Okay,
to lease
so
them.
of the 97 vehicles that we have on the fleet, how many of them do we approximately own?
I think there's 5,
And
I
this
think
is not a
nine.
question that you have to answer today.
Yeah.
My decision is not going to change today. But I guess what I would ask for in the future is similar to what we did with the buildings, to get an inventory of the vehicles, which ones are leased, which ones we own. We did it similar with the buses where we looked at all of the buses, looked at which ones we owned. So that it does also address Dr. Nguyen so that we all have the correct information. I understand that we are always talking about different vehicles. We're either talking about shop vehicles, we're talking about transportation vehicles, and so I think there might be a little bit of confusion. But if we can see the list of our fleet and what is leased and what's owned, going back to our previous conversation when we bought out, instead of renting it from Enterprise, we decided to buy it. And so, I want us to have those conversations versus the reduction conversation because I think, I don't think anyone's just luxury driving around in a vehicle that we don't need. Because then if we're not providing a vehicle, we run the risk of having to pay for them using their personal vehicle. And so, I'm kind of thinking about it from that perspective, and I think if we had that additional context, it would help. So,
The vehicles you see on that recommendation are the vehicles we lease.
okay,
All the other vehicles we own in the district.
okay. This is it, because I feel like
This
I
is it.
asked this question when we bought that $100,000 truck, but this is it. You're saying these are the last 5.
These are
and
the last of
so the
leases.
ones that you mentioned, month-to-month lease,
They're in this.
They're on there.
they're on
Pay
this.
the real book value of those, which is on this recommendation, we own them.
So
that
we
is
won't
the
be
last
paying
of the
Enterprise, we won't be paying, I can't remember the other rental one that's on the bills,
Yeah,
but,
there are no other leases
okay.
that we have. We pay these off, we own all the vehicles in our fleet.
And that is the 97? That
Yeah,
is the
the
97
97,
vehicles? Okay.
Yeah.
And then, but I still want that document because I think the next conversation will be the aging of those vehicles because that will continue to be an issue.
Yes.
So, thank you.
Okay, sure.
Thank you.
And Mr. Lopez, I had talked to someone in the tech department, and this individual was saying sometimes he had to use his own car. I don't know if that's true or not, and I see where one of the cars was going to the tech, and they shouldn't be using their own cars to transport stuff. Now, they claim, I just said that's what
So, and it's probably true, because if someone else has the car and multiple things have to happen and multiple times, there are individuals who are using their own car and they're being reimbursed mileage. So It's probably true, because there's not a.
I was just wondering, it
Yeah.
seems like there may be a need to have more, because I hate for people to have to use their own
Yeah,
car.
and so that's what Ms. Russell is asking, and we can evaluate that. And we can look at how much we're paying out for those who are using their personal vehicles in mileage and things. So that's what we can provide in the next few months. We can gather all that data. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Correll, Mr. Lilly. With that, Ms. Smith, I'm going to go ahead and call the vote. Would you please roll
Yolanda
call?
Clark. Maxine Drew.
Maxine Drew, yes.
Randy Lopez.
Randy, yes?
Robert Marlin Jr.
Marlon Jr., yes.
Wanda Brownlee Page.
Wanda Brownlee Page, no.
Rachel Russell.
Rachel Russell, yes.
Dr. Nguyen.
Dr. Nguyen, no. And to further comment to Ms. Russell, reduction in a lot of areas will continually be part of any discussion that a board who manages millions of dollars should have. So thank you.
Motion carries. Thank you. Next item on the agenda, item 6C. It's recommended the Kansas City, Kansas Board of Education approve the school crossing guard agreement with the Unified Government of Kansas City, Wyandotte County, Kansas for joint provision of school crossing guards as specified in the agreement for the remainder of the for the 24-25 school year, submitted by Mr. Lilly and is recommended by Dr. Anna Stubblefield. Is there a motion to do so?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any questions or discussion? Seeing and hearing none, Ms. Smith.
Maxine Drew.
Maxine Drew, yes.
Randy Lopez.
Randy, yes?
Robert Marlin Jr.
Marlon Jr., yes.
Wanda Brownlee Page.
Wanda Brownlee Page, yes.
Rachel Russell.
Rachel Russell, yes.
Dr. Nguyen.
Dr. Nguyen, yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Board. Next, Board, item 7A. These items are up for information purpose only. No action is being asked of the Board. First is the informational item regarding the solicitation of bids for summer of 2025. Any questions on this item? Seeing none. More information to come. 7B, the Wyandotte Comprehensive Special Education Co-op Board. This is also an information item. We also received information in your Friday update regarding this item. Hopefully you had a chance to review this. Dr. Stubblefield, any additional information to share?
Yes, just to share with you, the Piper School Board, I believe, yesterday adopted this resolution. Piper, with their growth and with some other components, are looking to separate from the co-op. And as a co-op board, myself, the Piper superintendent, and the Bonner superintendent, along with Dr. Laurie and Mr. Goheen, we've been having these discussions since the report came back from the environmental scan that KU did in 2022. And that was one of the things for us to look at, and we have been evaluating it. So if KSDE approves it later in the spring, Piper would no longer be a part of the co-op. We still would more than likely provide some contracted services to them for some specialized classrooms and or programs. But that is where we are. That's what this means. You don't have to take any action. KSDE ultimately will make the decision.
And actually, there will be, if Piper did go forward and adopt it last time, which I think they did, we'll probably look in January that this board will also have to adopt a resolution accepting their request to withdraw from the co-op. Bonner has to do the same thing, so look for that in January.
Now, is this something all of them are going to be doing, and we'll each have our own independent program?
So for this first phase, it's just Piper. Bonner just got a new superintendent this year, and they are evaluating whether they have the capacity, because one of the requirements for the state is that the individual districts can continue to provide the level of service to the students. And so that is what Bonner will look at over the course of the next year, but and eventually make a decision based off what is required by the state. But yes.
Realistically, Bonner's going to be in the co-op with the SD 500 for at least a couple of years, realistically.
Thank you, Dr. Stubblefield. Additional questions? Okay, thank you. Next, item 8A, we will hear a report regarding our HR department. I'd invite Dr. Jones and his team to come forward. And as he's making his way, I do just want to give a shout out to their team. I went out to Kinship Coffee last Friday where Adriana Pence and Eric Tyler were there set up and just sharing information about our district and openings and vacancies and potential opportunities to join this great team. So shout out to them. I know they've been in other places and wasn't the first time they were out at Kinship. So great job that they were, and thank you for being out there sharing the great things we're doing in KCKPS. I think it's great that we're able to go out and be in community as we share these possibilities and opportunities. So thank you, Dr. Jones, for your leadership, and thank you to Adriana and Eric for being out there sharing coffee with folks and telling stories about the great things we're doing here in KCK. So Dr. Jones, good morning and welcome.
Good morning. Thank you so much, President Lopez, and good morning to you. Good morning to our superintendent once again and to the Board of Education. I am so proud to be able to serve a group of leaders, individuals who really have the heart of this district in mind. I have a group of about 25 individuals that serve in the Human Resources Department. And as we've said, we are a team that supports our district. Every employee, regardless if you're classified or certified or whatever role, we're here to be the resource for our staff members. And so we wanted to present to you some things. I know time limits us from being able to go into an exhaustive report, but we wanted to give you some highlights that speak to the strategic theme, particularly theme number 4, which is to attract, to hire, develop, and retain KCKPS employees. That guides our work. And in this presentation, you will see that we will present our staff and student demographics, as well as retention efforts, recruitment efforts, highlights, and then provide time for questions at the end. So in looking at our staff demographics, you see here our certified staff and student demographics. Research says that those students who have the privilege of being taught by someone who looks like them, someone who perhaps shares a similar ethnicity, that those students are more likely to perform better academically than those who do not. We do seek to hire the best talent that is out there, but we're also intentional about making sure that we're in spaces where we can attract individuals who look like our scholars that we serve in Kansas City, Kansas public schools. We saw over last year, year over year, increases in the percentage of our Asian and Hispanic Latino certified staff members. And those areas that we did not mention, they either stayed flat or may have just slipped just a little. But as you get more hiring, that means someone else's percentages may drop just a little bit. But it's a lot of consistency that's there. We look at our classified staff and student demographics. We saw as well, similar to our certified staff, we saw increases in our Asian and our Hispanic individuals who were hired to serve in our classified roles. We also saw a slight uptick in our Native Hawaiian Pacific Islander employees as well. When we look at our leadership, with regards to administrators, we experienced an increase in the percentage of Asian, African American, and Hispanic/Latino leaders. Although small gains were made, we continue to seek, like I said, the best and the most talented educators and educational support staff that represents the overall demography of Kansas City, Kansas public schools.
Good morning, Board and Dr. Stubblefield. The second part of the presentation is we're going to talk about the retention data. And this is great news because you definitely see that there is an increase. Even when you think about our COVID years, we have even increased since 2019. So we're at 87.34% of being able to retain our staff. So if you look at that chart, you'll see currently where we are, that is higher than any of the other 4 years. that we've done our data. The second part is, while this list might look short, the HR department has put in lots of efforts in prior years, and so we're going to keep all of the things that they have done. But our next steps, which is going to be our focus for this year, is the alternative certification department. They are creating a learning lab classroom for elementary, and so they have been visiting elementary sites and trying to prepare a curriculum for our fellows program, our LTAP program, to be able to focus and help them be prepared for classroom elementary entry. The second component is our human resource orientation book. So we have new hire orientation. We're looking at updating components of that book, such as Time Clock Plus for a classified. So there are some new systems that have been put in place, and so we're just going to make sure that all of our new staff have that information moving forward. And then the third piece is our culture and climate survey. And so it is no longer housed in HR. However, we are still using the culture and climate survey as a resource to be able to provide feedback or make informed decisions with principals at the elementary and the secondary level. And then we're also using the survey for our Rise and Retain journals that we have for the principals. And so we're looking at trends and patterns and things of that nature to be able to help principals make those informed decisions on ways they can retain their staff. And so we will give that journal to the principals at the principals meeting for the end of the year. So those are just some efforts that we still either want to keep or maintain, considering that now we have this increase, so we want to just keep it moving in the right direction.
Good morning, Board President, Dr. Stubblefield, and to each of you on the board. It's my first board meeting, and I'm so excited to be here, as my young daughter would say. So for recruitment, we have a new team. I am new to this team. I joined KCKPS in August. We also have a new recruiter. Her name is Danielle Sandiford, and we have hit the ground running. So we plan to continue the great work that has already been done. We plan to strengthen our relationships with community and educational partners. As President Randy said, we are in the community, okay? We were at Kinship Cafe. That was our third time there, just meeting people in the community and telling them about opportunities that we have to offer in this great district. We have been participating in mock interviews. We have already been to UMKC for different educational departments, Emporia, UMKC, K-State, and we are already signed up for Mid-America Nazarene University. Also, we're going to be meeting with teachers like me. They have a pipeline for HBCUs, which is important to us, and so we plan to meet with them and see how we can partner here in our district. There are some targeted conferences that we would like to participate in. One is the All-State HBCU Legacy Bowl, which will be a great opportunity for our district, as well as the 7th Annual Veterans Career Fair that we're excited to attend. Also, there are some targeted advertisements that we have made. We did an ad for New Mexico State University, which has a 56% Hispanic population, as well as diversity ed. So we are on the move, and we are excited to attract and bring all the wonderful candidates we can to KCKPS.
Good morning, all the short people. It is so great to see all of you. The next steps for recruitment, she mentioned our fellows and LTAP. We are looking at sustaining this and expanding it if possible, so that does include funding so that we can recruit more people to be a part of that. Our LTAP really focuses on elementary, and we know that we need that. And of course, our fellows continues to focus on secondary. So those are things that we are looking at going forward as we progress forward. Expanding our recruitment opportunities. When we talk about looking for ways to create virtual career fairs and or informational sessions for colleges that we currently don't have relationships with, we are trying to partner with them right now so that we could create that. So going forward, we can be a part of their in-person career fairs, but we're doing some isolated things so that they can be informed about who we are and what we represent. equitable hiring practices and collaborating with DEI. Those are 100% important. We've already had DEI present to our student teachers to give them some information and some background. And then going forward, we're looking at job descriptions, what we're sending to hiring managers, making sure that we're screening and sending them the most qualified candidates for those positions. So that's important that we get those out there. And when we're talking about that, you know, we are focused on following up with our hiring managers as well. We've sent you this many. Where are we in the process? Are we not sending you the right things? Let us know, because we want them to inform us in that process also. So those things are very important. Create a diverse recruitment collective. When we're talking about creating a diverse recruitment collective, we're looking at principals and staff and classified certified to be a part of our recruitment efforts, going to schools and community spaces that they are familiar with, as well as being an alumni of those schools. We feel that that's very important. And so that is something that we're looking at. Our talented recruitment, we want that interface to be as efficient and as effective for our hiring managers as well as our applicants. And so we are working with them to make that streamline a little more palatable for everybody. We know that it could be a challenge, and we're working through that process with them. Our student teacher focus this year, we had a mixer at the very start of the year, but we've also reached out to our student teachers consistently while they're in our system so that we can ask them questions of what is they need, what are they looking for, giving them tours of schools where we have openings so that they know and they have a realistic idea of where they could be placed if we give them a contract and saying, hey, we're giving you this contract, this is where we have openings, you're guaranteed to be here, what does that look like and what do you need? And we're trying to get our principals on board to be a part of those conversations as well. So we know that that's very important. And going into the 25-26 school year, we know that we cannot be delayed in what it is that we do. So we are posting pool postings for the 25-26 school year starting in December, because we know that's when teachers, administrators, and everyone start looking for jobs. They're on break, they have time, that's when they're gonna pack, and they're gonna look, and so we are going to place those. When we leave in December 20th, those will be on our website, and we're looking forward to seeing the applicants that we receive going forward. So that's where we are with our next steps in recruitment.
Last but not least, I wanted to speak to our highlights. This great team that I serve with, and I must not delay in sharing who it is that I get a chance to serve with and pulling this report, and that is our Director of Elementary and Early Childhood, Dr. Desiree Albritton, as well as our Director of Secondary Schools is Mrs. Shalita Middleton. And we also have on our team that presented today our Assistant Director of Recruitment, Mrs. Ashley Black. But also working behind the scenes and working with us on this project is Mrs. Sarah Hamlin, as well as this, and she is our Senior Manager of HR Systems. We also have Ms. Angela Monroe, who serves on our leadership team in the HR department, who works with our payroll and compensation. So I want to make sure that I applaud them for their great work. As you can see, there's a lot that has gone on behind the scenes. Before I got here, and even since I arrived on July the 1st, there are many highlights that cover the work that we've done. Chief among them was the fact that our team was able to create and develop a new personnel pay scale for not only for our classified, but as you all have seen recently, we were able to, you all approved as a board, the set pay scale for our libraries. And so our minimum hourly rates are above, or well above the livable wage. The lowest that anyone will make in the Kansas Public Schools would be $16.09 an hour. But we are very fortunate that all of our paraprofessionals, we have some of the highest paid paraprofessionals in the region, and they make no less than $20.36 coming into the profession. And that right there rewards. We know that our members of our community primarily serve in those capacities, and that was the mindset that we wanted to have and to be as competitive as we possibly can. Our team successfully converted the evaluations for certified staff, i.e. our teachers, our instructional coaches, and our librarians in eye observation. They moved it from eye observation to talent ed. And so administrative evaluations were converted the previous school year. That allows us to consolidate and to be more efficient and effective with the resource that we already use for employees to apply for positions. and we continue to work to expand that. As it was mentioned, a student-teacher mixer was planned and organized by our recruiting team. They were able to engage those serving in our school district, as well as those who, and as well as getting commitments from those individuals to begin their teaching careers in our beloved district. The HR leadership team organized and held a new leadership training for those serving in their initial to third year as an administrator in KCKPS. We're able to give them the nuts and bolts before the start of the school year to support them on their way. Our recruiting team also organized and held a series of ACT Work Keys fairs to ensure that those who have a desire to serve as instructional support staff but do not meet the minimum requirements for college credits were able to take the exam to be qualified. And we've had quite a few individuals who passed those exams. Some had to retake it, and our team was very patient and diligent in making sure they had an opportunity to do that, and so we're very, very proud of that. Last but not least, the partnership between ESS and to support our substitute teachers has been very fruitful. In less than 2 years, they have onboarded 550 substitute teachers to support our systems. Currently, we are at an 81% daily fill rate. That's an increase from last year of 4%. Before they started, I believe this district had a 59% fill rate when we were using our own. So they are at 81% daily fill rate, and we continue to work, and Mr. Nate Williams and that team, they continue to work diligently to make sure that we have support where there are gaps. So we've presented to you the report. I know we're not to go much longer, but I want to thank you all so much for the opportunity to be able to serve in this capacity and to serve with this amazing team. This work cannot be done alone. It takes all of us working together. I love the spirit of the team. We all are different. We're different in our presentations. I love the fact that individuals were able to have checks and balances so that we're doing the best work for Kansas City, Kansas Public Schools. As I share with them, we want to offer a top-tier experience for all of our employees here in KCKPS. Thank you all so much. If you have any questions, I will take them at this time.
Thank you, Dr. Jones. And before I open up, and Ms. Drew, you'll be next. Just a couple of things to lift up. No real questions that need to be discussed, but things I've heard or have had conversations around. I think, one of the continued things that we continue to do well is working with our KNEA membership to make sure that we're supporting our staff, to make sure that the retention rate continues to grow. So thank you for the work you're doing around that. I'm curious about housing opportunities. There's limited housing in Wyandotte County. So are there some creative things that we can do around housing opportunities to retain or recruit specifically new teachers or new staff into the area? So I have that top of mind as well. How do we develop our student pipeline for becoming teachers, right? Starting at the elementary level, getting it in their head, saying, hey, do you want to be a teacher? And then supporting them throughout. Are there opportunities for us? And I know Ms. Watson, she's not here, but the scholarships that they give to the young kids in elementary school, what are some creative things that we can do there to support and build our own internal pipeline within KCKPS to get our kids from elementary back into the classroom teaching, I think would be remarkable. And I know you've had conversations around that as well. Recruitment for our dual language program for those teachers who are bilingual or multilingual. How do we continue to develop that and retain and recruit new multilingual staff and teachers? There are a lot of bilingual teachers in Puerto Rico, and as a territory, I think it might be easy to transfer their certification teaching license from there to here to Kansas. Have we explored that? What would that look like? I know we've got staff that are really interested in seeing what that might look like as well. And then I love the principal pipeline program. I know that's not exactly what it's called, but when we got to celebrate those that were going on track to become a principal, how do we continue to develop, especially anyone that wants to become a teacher or a principal or an administrator, making sure that we're developing them so that they don't leave us to do that, but rather we develop them here internally. I love the program that you all celebrated previously where we got to see them. How do we continue to develop those pieces as well? But thank you for the work there. And then the last thing, I think that was it for now. So just thank you. I know that was a lot of information that you all gave as well. Lots of great data, and would love to continue conversations about how we can support the work to continue to retain and attract new talent. And then just again, kudos to being out in the community. I thought that was great when I got to spend some time with Eric and Adriana out there talking about the efforts y'all are doing. So thank you for your leadership, Dr. Jones and team. We really appreciate you. So, Ms. Drew.
Thank you.
Thank you. I just wanted to say, I grew up in the 1960s and graduated here in Wyandotte County. And growing up, I had a favorite show that I would look at, and it was called The Andy Griffin Show. And on there was a character named Gomer Powell, and one of the things when they did something good, he would say, thank you, thank you, thank you. And so I just wanted to say, I appreciate what you all have presented. It shows massive growth. We're moving in the right direction, and continue to do what you're doing, but I thank you for presenting this information to us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Drew. Mr. Mylan, and then Ms. Russell.
Yeah, I did, not in the form of a question, to ditto what Ms. Drew has just mentioned. Dr. Jones, what you and your staff and what you are doing is commendable. With me being here not of the year yet and looking at where you were, the numbers that you presented and what you've gotten here written down and in place, basically, not written, but presented to us today is awesome. And I'm just one of the ones, old school, keep the train running well. And it seems like you all keeping the train running well, because just as the last couple of weeks, someone that approached me in the community said, Mr. Mylan, it seems like we're having a problem not keeping quality teachers. So we kind of went back and forth in keeping quality people in position in the administration category, just basically in the district. So we kind of went back and forth with that. What you have explained here, the salary and all of that, is equitable and competitive to others. And I just want to commend you. You're doing a good job, good work. And I just want to say thank you, and keep the train running well. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Ms. Russell.
Yes, I also want to say thank you for your presentation. I do have a series of questions, but I will both publicly share them and send them in a follow-up and for continued conversation. One of them being if you could provide us with comparative data on staff demographics over the last 3 years or so, whatever. I guess I will say 3 years. I won't say whatever. I also was interested in quantitative or qualitative data for retention. I know that we've had the conversation about Emporia State, but we've also had the conversation about how you all are able to utilize other mechanisms and partnerships that you all have to understand why people are staying. I am not naive to believe that over the last 3 years, because this board and because this district has invested in retention bonuses for our staff, that is a lot of the reason why some folks have stayed. But at this point, we know that is maybe not something that we will be able to continue or sustain moving forward. And so what are the other reasons besides money that people are staying or in love with KCKPS? And I think that's important for us to know, so that we also, not only do we have competitive salaries, but we can also share that data around why that's important.
Ms. Russell, I did do a dissertation around that. So I would be more than happy to look into that as well, but yes.
Awesome.
Great question.
And then something that pulled my ear was, where is the climate and culture survey housed if it's not housed in HR? That, I won't say concern, but just a question.
Did you want me to answer that really quick?
Sure.
Yeah, because we were the ones, that department, before my tenure, they helped create and develop the climate and culture survey. It goes out to the schools, and so the schools are responsible and for making sure that their staff, individuals are aware of that. That data comes back, and it's things that possibly that their EDs or individuals may have conversations with those leaders. We use that data as well throughout the year to help us with possibly with retention efforts. We also look at it whenever we have conversations with leaders about what it is they do. But yes, that data, we still have access to it, but it's not necessarily the data that drives all of our work.
Okay.
And
So
that's what
I
was
guess
meant by that.
my devil's advocate, because that's my word of the day, is also just a little bit of, I believe it's important for people who are not directly connected to the work to be looking at that data and making very open and honest decisions and conversations, because I also am not naive to know that we also know that in some of our buildings, because of culture and climate, we struggle to retain people, but we also struggle to recruit people in those buildings. And it's one thing for the principal to be doing it, but if the principal is not doing what they need to do to change it, someone else needs to be having that data-driven conversation that says, hey, over the last 5 years, you've brought in some really great new staff, but you've not been able to retain them. Tell me why. And some of that goes back to you got some seasoned folks in there who tell new people, oh, that's not what we do around here. And so I just want those open, honest conversations. And I think over the last few years through that survey, we've been able to see some of that happen because HR is involved. And I would just hate for that to go away. So I appreciate your response, but I'm also thinking about it from that. And then Randy stole my recruitment conversation around student engagement. One thing that KCPS does over the summer that I think is really innovative is their HR department hires interns that really do like this internship, but also this exploration day thing where you're going and you're doing the different jobs within the school district. So you got some interns in the kitchen, you got some interns on the bus, you got some like doing the different things in the summer. And so I think that continued. We talk about growing our own when they get to that high school level, and we're talking about those teaching pathways, but how do we start that earlier to get folks, in the classroom, get them, even if it's watching or passing out pencils, but paying people for their time, but also thinking about it differently. And I specifically think about those students who are in the teacher pathways, who have already said, this is the direction I'd like to go. I think of Wyandotte High School, and their teachers were out at the diversity parade walking and talking about how they're excited to be a part. Like, how are we as a district really honing into that? My last thing that I wanted to say is an update on ESS and proximity. I know that you talked about the fill rate and the fill rate and the comparative data, but also thinking about quality. While I know that having a substitute or having a teacher or an adult in the room is important, are teachers feeling like what is the word I'm trying to use? Sorry. I have my thoughts and then Our staff, do staff feel like when they have a sub that those things, that those individuals are doing a great job in the classroom? I think that's the best way I can put it. I think there are some concerns about the ongoing professional development of some of our substitutes and how their classroom mannerisms, but also their ability to understand lesson plans or work that's been left behind. And then with proximity, just thinking of how many open vacancies we had, how many proximity teachers we had, and since then, how many full-time teachers we've been able to replace. Because I know that was part of our strategy, was like, hey, we're going to continue to do this. And so just the data around that. So.
And we send that out in the personnel report and the vacancy report. It will say how many we have. Like I know we reduced one of our 30 classrooms and brought in and hired a teacher that will support. So we'll continue to make sure that we send that to you every time that we are getting ready for our board report.
I apologize. I will say that I quit watching the vacancy report because I feel like I was, I have not watched it under your leadership or reviewed it, so that is me being honest, but I will go back and look at that information. And then to Randy's point, I want you all to make sure that we're aware of any challenges that you all are seeing or facing. And I think we heard some of them, but I think as we go into the budget cycle, as we go into continued trying to make our district better every day in every way. How do we continue to support the needs of HR and what our staff, both that we're recruiting for and are currently here, need? So thank you.
Thank you.
Two things I can not answer, but HR, they can provide the information. ESS does, when they're recruiting staff, they do provide ongoing professional development. When there are challenges or things that are reported, they do address them and oftentimes will, if necessary, remove those individuals from our subpool. But they do have a robust professional development and support structure, and they navigate through that. And regarding proximity, we shared, and it was on this, if you look at this HR report, we had 10, I think, all of our teaching fellows who were in proximity classrooms this first semester are all on a report this current today, where they will take over the classroom starting in January. So we continue to partner with them, but our goal is always to have a teacher in the classroom, so we navigate around that. But I just wanted to highlight that I think it's 10. My number's.
It's 9 now. Yeah, we have 9. And
it's
they
9 classes that did have proximity as a teacher last semester, that this second semester, it'll actually be the Teach Fellows leading and taking over those classes. Yeah.
Ms. Brownlee Page.
Okay. I got about 25 questions, so I'll hurry up and shoot them real quick. No, thank you for what you've done and what you're doing. And I believe that considering the people you have working with you, you're going to do great things. And it's always our goal to do better. But I had a couple of questions. One, because General Motors, KU, and our district are the 3 largest employers in this area, in line with the growing your own, have you ever thought about not only can you get your diploma when our seniors graduate, is there some way to offer them a job if we have positions and start kind of orientating them, as Mr. Lopez and Ms. Russell had said, to get them ready? Because they may not want to go to college. That's what we would love to see everybody do, but that's not for everybody. But if it's some way, I got my diploma, wow, I got a job too. So at least we're getting them ready for the workforce. So I don't know if that ever came up or you thought about it.
Well, it was mentioned that our ACT work keys that we offer for those who are seeking employment, we also offer that to our scholars.
Yeah.
And so that's there, and I think it kind of lays out some ideas and gives students those plans. But I hear you loudly saying, looking at GM, KU Med, and what was the other one you said that are the largest?
KU, General Motors, and us, we're the 3 top employers. So I think it would be phenomenal that a kid could say, hey, I graduated and I'm starting work next week. If there's some way for that crowd who doesn't want to go to college, but they have some skills that we can market and help them get on and work for the district. Or if we had I know there was a lady that came to one of the board meetings who was recruiting, trying to get the kids out to apply for different jobs. So I think that helps. And then I don't know if they still do it. I'm old. We had Future Teachers of America, and we had them at every high school. That's what a lot of us joined that wanted to be teachers. So if it's some way to revitalize that and bring it back, if we're going to grow our own and get them ready, that would be something nice to have. And then on the concern side, there are still people saying that they apply, but it takes so long. It's something with the system that they get froze. And I don't know if you've worked out that glitch, but they're still complaining about that.
Yeah, and our team has been very diligent. I know there were some things that were brought up early on in the year, in making sure that we are responding within 24 hours, definitely no later than 48 hours, making sure that our recruiting team, that they go through, look at the applications, and they forward those applications. For a while, we were serving with one. We had Mr. Eric Tyler, who was our only recruiter until we hired Miss Danielle. But that team has been working diligently. Sometimes things do get caught up in the process from the administrators who may be having the positions and when they are hiring and also submitting that. But we're trying to work on getting those details quickly. If there's ever an issue like that, please direct them to HR, and we'll make sure that it gets resolved.
And then the other problem with that, which is not all your fault, they have a problem calling, because when you try to call here, it's difficult at times. Do you have somebody answering the phone? Not just you, but when I came in this morning, I saw one person at the desk, not at the one side when you first come in, but it doesn't seem like we replaced anybody. So when people have a concern, it's extremely difficult, and when you do get the little thing, dial 1 for this, there's only 9 things, and you can't always, that's not solely your fault. I think we got to do a better job and help you all with that, because we don't have enough people working that desk. But that was my concern, and again, thank you.
Thank you. We will work to correct those.
I do want to clarify, Ms. Pam is solely dedicated to HR, and those calls go directly to her or are transferred to her, and she sits up here. I'm just clarifying, and there are multiple people down there. They all may not be there, like when you come in at different times, and they may be out for various reasons. And then some of them are no longer sitting there. They're in other areas because of what their job duties require.
I respect that, but I'm saying the constant complaint that I get is that people aren't able, because I've tried to call, and you don't always get through. So I still think that's a problem that we need to address.
Dr. Nguyen, I can't see you on screen, but just in case you had any questions, I wanted to open up.
Thank you. Fine. Thank you, Dr. Jones.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Any additional questions, comments? I'm sure we'll follow up with some emails, but board, if you do have questions or other conversation, please submit those questions to Dr. Stubblefield and Dr. Jones. Thank you to your team for all the work you're doing. Appreciate you all.
Thank you so much.
Next, board, we are at item 9. We will hear from our Superintendent of Schools, Dr. Anna Stubblefield.
Good morning, and I will be quick and brief. First, I just want to say we held our second superintendent, parent, caregiver, and community collaboration advisory group meeting yesterday. We had a very decent turnout. And I want to say thank you to our Diploma Plus team, Dr. Wright and Ms. Martinez, for starting the work with that group around the portrait of a graduate. They will continue to work with different stakeholder groups to get input as we develop that. We also just want to remind anyone who may be interested, we still have space for others. We're in the process of solidifying our dates for third quarter and fourth quarter, but we also talked about the cell phone policy and some other things, and the bond and some other things that came up. As you already heard, the winter weather hasn't slowed down our HR's recruiting team. They held a coffee and chat event on Friday at the Kinship Cafe, and they continue to go out and recruit in spaces where people are and have had a lot of success in that area. We also want to remind our students and our parents and staff members to share their feedback on the current guidelines for the use of cell phones and personal electronic devices in school. We value your input. We will be working with our principals to send out one last push for those who may want to provide input. The survey does close on December 19th, and we'll gather all that data and feedback to bring a recommendation to the board. Probably February, March, we'll work with Mr. Goheen around the information that we gather from that. And we just asked you to remind you that to mark your calendars for some important dates coming up in the next week. Next, December 16th through 19th, our high school finals. December 18th and 19th, all of our students, that's next Wednesday and Thursday, all of our students will be on the 2-hour early release schedule. And the 19th is the end of the quarter, and our students do not return until January 7th. Is that correct? I'm going off memory. So want to wish everyone a peaceful break and remind everyone of those dates. Our offices will be closed from December 23rd through January 1st. So the entire district is closed down during that time. We'll make sure that that information is on our website, our social media, and on our individual emails so that people will know that the district is closed and we will not necessarily be responding to anyone. So thank you again to everyone and happy holidays.
Thank you, Dr. Stubblefield. Just a few quick things. Congratulations to all of our scholars at the Excellence in Education celebration that the Education Foundation hosted. Thank you, Crystal, and your team, and everyone who helped organize that, to our board and all the committee who helps with that program. We really appreciate it. It was a great night to celebrate our scholars and see their families and to be fed. So it was just a great all-around joyous occasion. So congratulations to everyone who was a part of that. I also just want to thank our Arrowhead staff and all of the team here at district staff who are making a challenging situation work for our students and scholars over at Home Field. So thank you to all the team who continues to work hard to make sure our students and families have what they need for the meals that they're eating, for the staff that are just being so flexible. We really appreciate your flexibility and the work that you continue to do in spaces and places that you probably didn't think you were going to have to teach in or work with students, but you're making the best of it. So we really appreciate you and your work, and to all of our central office staff who have helped with that. Thank you. Just a shout out and thank you to all of our board colleagues and staff who helped and participated in the legislative breakfast with the other school districts in Wyandotte County and all of the state reps who were present. Great conversation about things that we're seeing in the state legislature and federally, and so just keep your eyes posted. Thank you to Francisco and the team who helped to develop, and communications team who developed our priorities with the board, and we were able to share our legislative priorities with the state reps and the other districts last week. So thank you to everyone who participated there. And then just really quick, do want to say thank you to our schools who are working with the Hispanic Development Fund and their Family College Prep program. I know they've been hosting FAFSA nights, FAFSA completion nights at the different high schools, and it's been great to see our HDF partners out there working with our students who are completing the FAFSA, especially in light of all the complications and changes that are happening federally with the FAFSA for our mixed status families. And I do want to call that out specifically because of the unknown and the anxiety and the challenges that we're seeing that and the information that's coming out that's kind of double-sided of whether mixed status families should or shouldn't complete the FAFSA. I think it's incumbent on all of us as educators or working in education to understand what the realities are of that. Our families need guidance, and we're not there to tell them what to do exactly, but we can help educate folks on what it is that they should do, especially our undocumented, our DACA, and our mixed status families. So thank you to HDF for your continued work. I know they partner in several of our high schools and are there at Wyandotte. They're there daily. Some of our other schools, they're there 2 or 3 times a week, and they're hosting events and taking students to college visits, all in the meantime while also educating our families and our community on FAFSA completion, what that looks like, and things that they should be aware of. So thank you to HDF Partners for that. And also just thank you to Dr. Jamela Watson-Thompson and the Thrive Youth Advisory Board that works with several of our students here in the district, specifically on violence prevention and substance abuse, substance misuse prevention. It was great to be on their advisory committee call this week and seeing the students take leadership of what that looks like, and they specifically talked about the 988 phone line and the Help Me app and how that's being utilized or underutilized with our students, and how we need to continue to share that for our students' social, emotional wellness and well-being. So it was great to see students from Wyandotte and Washington and Sumner, Schlegel, who were on that call, who were stepping up as leaders in that role. So thank you to those students. With that, I'll open up if there are any other comments from board members. Ms. Russell?
Yeah, I just wanted to say winter sports season is here, and so I have had the privilege to attend some of the basketball games that are already happening, and so I just encourage everyone in our community, but also our district leaders, to get out and support our young scholars and athletes. Additionally, I just wanted to mention that this Saturday at Carl Bruce, our police department will be hosting Pancakes with Santa, woot woot. And after you stop by there, feel free to stop by Parks and Rec's Donuts with Santa. I'll definitely be there because that's my favorite thing. But I just wanted to let folks know that the holiday season is also here, and it's been a privilege to get around to different school buildings and see the fun things going on, to hear the arts here at Central Office earlier this week, to see Harmon. But this is a really great season to see our scholars do a lot of awesome things. A couple of remarks, Dr. Stubblefield, that I just wanted to make around the cell phone policy. I know you said we were going to do one final push. There's been a lot of confusion around if the district actually has a cell phone policy already, or if the form that we're talking about is the acceptable use policy. And so when we send out the next communication, can we directly provide the document that we're
We
talking
don't
about?
have a policy, it's a sentence in the student handbook.
Okay,
That's all we have.
so I think, because in the language it says, like, if you have any feedback to update, or the language is a
Confusing.
little confusing, so if we could just clarify what we're talking about. And then the other item was around next week's closures. Can we make sure that the elementary school communications go out to remind parents, specifically at elementary schools, that it is a half day on those 2 days? I think there is a little bit of confusion around Wednesday is normal, Thursday.
Yeah,
Oh,
Wednesday and
so-
Thursday have the same schedule. so
Yes,
we'll
and so if we just
principals-
clarify that to make sure that on Thursday there isn't this like, so, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Russell. Ms. Brownlee Page.
Yeah, just want to remind everyone, we had an excellent Ruby Bridges program in Topeka, and I was really amazed. The young people responded well. They embraced her. They seemed to understand everything that was going on, and she did a marvelous job. The Turner High breakfast was excellent, and I don't know if any of you are aware, this week I went to Lindbergh, and they have a jujitsu program, and they have about 20 kids, and it was phenomenal. The sad thing is that the program ends this week, and if you know of anybody who has any money, they need about $3,000 to continue it. So I can hear people now going in their purses, writing a check. I know they would appreciate it. And we're trying to see who we can get to help continue the program, or if there's any funding here. But it's an excellent program, and the kids are well-mannered. Even some of the ones who they said had some problems in the beginning, but the program, they got them all marching like soldiers. They're involved. They look awesome in their little jiu-jitsu suits and so forth. And it was just an honor to be there with them and to see what they're doing. But they need some support. And at the B. Lee Center, since our kids will be out, they're going to show Christmas movies on the 20th of December at 5 o'clock. And at the Eisenhower Community Center on the 21st, they're going to do arts and crafts from 10 to 1. So if you're looking for something free to do, they'll be more than happy to see you. And I'm quite sure it's just that I do a little bit more with those two. But there are a lot of our kids and families that are there. So thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Brownlee Page. Mr. Mylan.
Yes, sir. To all, I just want to go on record as to thank all the individuals that are responsible for November 19th. I think that's when we had our World Cafe, quote unquote, listening session. And personally, I feel that's one of the most important things that we do as a district and as a / board, to listen to the community, the parents. And I'm all about relationships. Relationships is so important because they connect us. We get a feel of the temperature of where we are, as Mr. Jones, Dr. Jones presented today. So folks need to hear and see, and folks have questions, and they should have questions, especially concerned parents. But saying all that, there was some real positive that come, some parents, statements that parents made from that listening session, that World Cafe, that we can take back, and we can glean from to make us better, to connect us better. We're not always right, but our task is to make it right. None of us are always right, so when we hear what others to say, we can grow from that to make it better. It's nothing perfect, but the parents and the teachers, the administrators, the community, because we take something very positive back, because it's easy to take something that's negative and just plow that down the road, but take something positive and just, as I said earlier, to make sure the train keeps rolling well. We could always be improvement. I want to just say, I know we do that twice a year, maybe 3 times. I want us to continue to keep that up, make it positive, because it is positive just to hear to listen, quick to listen, and slow to speak. I'm just leave it right there, and that makes us better as a people, amen, a community, the board, as a district. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mylan. Okay, anyone else? Hearing none. Board, thank you. Always things going on, so appreciate you. And warm wishes, holiday wishes to all of our staff as hopefully you get a nice restful break. Board, we are going to go to executive session. We're actually going to start with session D first, so it would entertain a motion to recess to executive session for consultation with the attorneys on matters which would be deemed privileged in the attorney-client relationship under COMA, to include Dr. Stubblefield, Mr. Goheen, Mr. Lilly, Dr. Campbell, Dr. Jones, Mr. Clements, Ms. Carol Levers, and Ms. Laura Hunt. And that's it. For 10 minutes, going in at 11:05.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any questions? Ms. Smith.
Maxine Drew,
Maxine Drew, yes.
Randy Lopez.
Randy, yes, and Dr. Nguyen, I did email you the Zoom link to your email. Thank you.
Thank you.
Robert Mylan Jr.,
Allen Jr., yes.
Wanda Brownlee Page,
Wanda Brownlee Page, yes.
Rachel Russell,
Rachel Russell, yes.
Dr. Wynn.
Dr. Nguyen, yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. please? Moved by Ms. Drew, seconded by Ms. Russell. Questions? Ms. Smith?
Maxine Drew. Randy Lopez. Hello.
Randy, yes, I'm sorry.
Okay, thank you. Robert Mylan Jr. Wanda Brownlee Page. Rachel Russell.
Randy.
Rachel Russell, yes.
Dr. Nguyen. Thank you.
Oh, sorry. The motion to return to open session. Dr. Nguyen, they just called your name. To return.
Yeah.
Dr. Nguyen, are you here?
Unmute.
Thank you, Dr. Nguyen. She said yes. Did you hear her? I was.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry, technology. Thank you. Motion to recess to executive session to discuss matters of non-elected personnel in order to protect privacy interests of parties involved with potential action to follow, to include Dr. Stubblefield, Mr. Goheen, Mr. Lill, and Dr. Jones. And it's at 11:23.
11:23.
Potential action to follow.
How many minutes?
5 minutes.
5 minutes, okay.
Motion
Yes.
moved by Ms. Russell, seconded by Ms. Drew. Ms. Smith?
Maxine Drew. Randy Lopez.
Randy Lopez, yes.
Robert Mylan Jr. Wanda Brownlee Page. Rachel Russell.
Russell, yes.
Dr. Nguyen.
Dr. Nguyen, yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Motion to return to open session, please.
So moved. Second.
Moved by Ms. Drew, seconded by Ms. Russell. Questions? Ms. Smith?
Maxine Drew,
Maxine Drew, yes.
Randy Lopez,
Randy, yes.
Robert Mylan Jr., Wanda Brownlee Page, Rachel Russell,
Rachel Russell, yes.
Dr. Nguyen.
Dr. Nguyen, yes.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Motion to recess to executive session to discuss matters of non-elected personnel in order to protect the privacy interests of parties involved under coma with potential action to follow, to include Dr. Stubblefield, Mr. Goheen, Mr. Lilly, Dr. Campbell, and Dr. Jones for 3 minutes going in at 11:29.
So moved.
Moved by Ms. Russell, seconded by Mr. Mylan. Ms. Smith?
Maxine Drew,
Maxine Drew, yes.
Randy Lopez,
Randy, yes.
Robert Mylan Jr., Wanda Brownlee Page, Rachel Russell,
Rachel Russell, yes.
Dr. Nguyen.
Dr. Nguyen, yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Harris. Oh, sorry.
Motion to return to open session, please.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Questions? Ms. Smith?
Maxine Drew,
Maxine Drew, yes.
Randy Lopez,
Randy, yes.
Robert Marlin Jr.,
Marlin Jr., yes.
Wanda Brownlee Page, Rachel Russell,
Rachel Russell, yes.
Dr. Nguyen.
Dr. Nguyen, yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve the hearing officer's report?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Questions? Ms. Smith?
Maxine Drew,
Maxine Drew, yes.
Randy Lopez,
Randy, yes.
Robert Marlin Jr.,
Marlin Jr., yes.
Wanda Brownlee Page, Rachel Russell,
Rachel Russell, yes.
Dr. Nguyen.
Dr. Nguyen, yes.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve the resolution as presented?
So moved. Second.
Moved and seconded. Questions? Ms. Smith?
Maxine Drew,
Maxine Drew, yes.
Randy Lopez,
Randy, yes.
Robert Marlin Jr.,
Marlin Jr., yes.
Wanda Brownlee Page, Rachel Russell,
Rachel Russell, yes.
Dr. Nguyen.
Dr. Nguyen, yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Stubblefield?
Yes, she left, but I did want to say thank you to Carol Levers for her over 30 years of service to the Kansas City, Kansas Public Library System. This was her last board meeting. She is retiring. There is a formal reception tomorrow starting at 2:00 p.m. at the West Branch Library. But thank you, Carol, for all of your service to the community and to the public library system.
Thank you, Dr. Stubblefield. Thank you, Carol. With that, everyone have a great, safe, peaceful holiday season. Our meeting is adjourned. Have a great day.
Thank you. Can Bob have Joe Table out?